everyone who has not attended the tour yet, all the Cowboy Carter, content. And I think nobody does it better than Beyonce because you're seeing clips from the tour, you're seeing clips from the 5 days she was just in LA, you're seeing this real time. If you haven't been on the tour yet or you haven't gone to the concert yet, there's something to look forward to. And I think nobody does it better than Beyonce.
Hey everyone, welcome to The Brand Behavior. I'm your host, Juntae DeLane, and today we're diving into something that's completely reshaping how businesses connect with their audiences, and that's creating seamless customer experiences through innovative digital branding. In a world where consumers interact with brands across countless touch points, the ability to discover cohesive, meaningful experiences has never been more crucial. And the data backs it up too. Brands that excel in this area are seeing higher engagement, stronger loyalty, and ultimately serious growth. So today we'll be unpacking the strategies, tools, and mindsets needed to craft these experiences in a landscape that's increasingly shaped by AI, omni-channel expectations, and the growing demand for authenticity. And so I'm thrilled to be joined by three incredible guests who are doing some amazing work in this field. We have Michael Wallace, a digital strategy expert known for pioneering innovative approaches that bridge technology and human connection. We have MoShai Gibbs with us. She is a seasoned marketing strategist celebrated for integrating compelling storytelling across multi-channel campaigns. And rounding out our panel is Fauna Solomon. She is a rising creative voice in digital branding with expertise in leveraging emerging technologies for authentic customer engagement. Welcome, all of you. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, great. Happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. And so, you're calling from DC. Michael, you're in Amsterdam, and Moshe, you're in Phoenix, right? Awesome, awesome. Of course, I am in LA. So, listen, before we dive in, I want to share something that happened with me last week. I went grocery shopping for the first time at Amazon Fresh. Not grocery shopping for the first time, but first time at Amazon Fresh. And it was a fascinating experience because I essentially walked in, grabbed a cart, I logged into my Amazon account through the cart, I shopped, and then walked out with my groceries. Right. And that seamless integration of digital and physical experiences didn't just save me time, but it made me feel really less anxious about grocery shopping. And so these are some of the things that I want to talk about today, right? Is how digital branding isn't just about logos and colors anymore, but it's about creating the experiences that feel personal or intuitive and consistent across every touch point. Have you guys had any experiences like this, either with your shopping or some cool experience that you had in the digital space connecting with a physical brick and mortar?
Yeah, well, I will say that the Amazon Fresh near my house came and went pretty quickly. I think they thought it was a little bit too progressive for the DC landscape,
Ah,
for people to be walking in and out as much as they try to digitize that experience. So I thought it was interesting thinking about the markets where they were launching and introducing that to audiences. So I thought that was interesting.
yeah, and you would think, I mean, with the government space and technology, I don't know, I feel like the government could be kind of a dinosaur in that area. I don't know. Like, I don't know if there's a lot of tech companies that are in DC. So I can understand probably why it was short lived, right? All right, but yeah. So let's dive in here. One of the most transformative forces in digital branding today certainly is artificial intelligence. Research data shows that AI adoption in marketing has increased nearly 50% in the past year alone, but it's not just about automation. The brands that are seeing real success are essentially those that use AI to enhance human connection, not just simply replacing it. And for our audience of brand managers, marketing professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, so on and so forth, understanding how to balance AI efficiency with authentic brand voice is becoming essential for staying competitive while maintaining that human touch that ultimately customers crave, right? So Michael, I know you have experience in this. How are you seeing AI reshaping digital branding strategies, and what's your approach to using it while keeping that brand authenticity intact?
Jumping right into how I use it is document everything, making sure we're recording all of our videos, our meetings, describing it, putting it into correct folders, and organizing, categorizing it, so that when we do go through and we use AI, we have like the company voice on record, like we're speaking because we're speaking from the heart, we're speaking from our product knowledge, our marketing knowledge, everything. So bringing that together in an AI LLM and using that to shape how we write copy. What else? How we use customer service if we're doing like sales enablement. We're using all of that as the foreground, the background for everything that we do. So I think it really starts about organizing your information within the company, and using that to, because not everybody gets to peek under the hood, so to speak, of the company, and see everybody within, like they have one or two interaction points with somebody in a company. There's so many other different viewpoints and multicultural viewpoints within a company, that putting that down on paper, so to speak, and then having that come out into the marketing collateral, copy, video, etc., is hugely beneficial.
Yeah, so I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is making sure that you have all of your brand assets, creative collateral, and so on to use to train the AI so that it can truly speak to who the brand is based upon the information it that's feeding it, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that that is certainly something that's critical when you think about making sure that your brand is covered when it comes to the information that's being fed to the AI. And so that's ultimately fascinating. And I know Moshe, you have some experience in leveraging AI. And I know with many marketers struggling to try to figure out AI, there's a strong learning curve there. What's been your most successful integration of AI into storytelling that actually enhance customer experience?
Oh, that's a good one. I work for the company, like we dog food, I guess you could say. There's always, are you using Copilot? Are you using this? And there's so many different pilots that are happening around like AI and marketing. I'll say for one of the things that personally that I've been doing working with, so I work in partner marketing. So a lot of the things that I focus on is in direct collaboration with my partners and how we drive their business that runs on our cloud. And I will say some of the things that has helped, especially as it relates to storytelling and customer experience, has been leveraging Copilot to do like research, right? Just leveraging those we do synthetic personas. So that helps build out like the campaigns actually before you are deep diving into building out your customer experience. Then going into different solutions such as the chat bots, right? We have a chat bot that we've leveraged and we've been able to build to help with the like just answer Q&A and things of that nature in certain campaigns. I will say one of the things that has been also instrumental is just leveraging tailored messaging based on like the synthetic persona research, being able to build out user behavior for programmatic advertising, which is still a big part of the marketing mix on our end. And yeah, so it's a little bit of everything, but really tailoring it to continue to keep a seamless customer experience, and using the tools that make sense has been big, right? Content is, I think, the biggest use case for a lot of the, especially generative AI efforts on our end. So yeah, that's pretty much how I've been looking at it and leveraging it. And it's always something new each and every day.
It is, right? I mean, because you have the new versions of AI that come out that could do something, much better than the previous version did, and now you have to update some of your systems and things like that, and
Then agentic
reference
AI is
different
a big.
models. Yeah, all that stuff there. So, you're someone with, I think a fresh perspective on emerging tech. How do you think AI will change customer expectations for brand interactions in the next 1 or 2 years?
Yeah, I think I always find it interesting because my perspective on AI is that it is here to replicate a job being done well, and a lot of jobs aren't being done well yet. So we're still, I'm always that person that screams representative when I get into a phone call with customer service, because I just want to speak to a person, because we haven't gotten to the point where we feel like people are resolving our issues, much less working with a agentic, bot to try to resolve those issues. So I think what emerging technology, what I'm seeing is that the people who feel like they've come to a space where they've honed their craft, they know what they're doing, they feel comfortable passing that on to AI tools. I think people are leveraging that just so they can work faster. Like MoShai said, content is really the game. And if you're diving deep into this marketing transition, content is where it's at. There's more platforms to create for, there's more types of content to create. Like, you have to be able to get your work out there. And I think AI is really helping those tapped in marketers to get to that finish line so much faster. And so what I'm seeing with emerging technology are the people who are ready to use it, being able to do and execute what they are thinking, what their strategies have been, even faster, right? And getting to a point where you can kind of replicate yourself and replicate your own work. Michael talked about using those meetings and those meeting notes to gain that like industry voice and like that internal voice. So using all those chats that you create and all your own industry knowledge, right, to create a voice, a secondary voice for yourself that can now generate all of this content so much faster. I think from a level of emerging technology, that's what a lot of marketers are looking for. It's like, how can I get 4 or 5 different me's to be able to write more articles or create more scripts or to generate more, memes or images or whatever it is that you're already doing, right? I can sort of replicate myself. And I think that's how a lot of people are looking at it, who are really using it to get out into the field.
That's right.
Can I say something on that?
Sure.
Yeah, it's like some of the people I'm talking to here in some of the scale ups. One, for instance, is in it's like recruitment AI. So it's basically recruiters are swamped just doing the admin, like logging, putting notes into their ATS and following up, writing outreach emails and scheduling and stuff. And so they have little time to actually understand, have multiple conversations with one person and understand if they're really the right person for the company, for the culture, because they're bogged down with all the admin. So it's like that's being shifted, all the admin work is being shifted away reliably so that they can have these deeper conversations and really say, okay, this is the right person. And I know it's really changing that industry for sure. So it's creating more of like a one-to-one between the applicant and the recruiter. So it's more humanizing in that, like, sure, you're going to get the automated, rejection letter or whatever, but at least you felt like you had a great experience, like leading up to there, and maybe you are more comfortable with the outcome because, you guys come to a mutual understanding that, yeah, we're just not a fit for each other.
Yeah. Now, I know when we think about just a digital brand as a whole, or digital branding as a whole, what often comes to mind is omni-channel marketing, right? And that omni-channel buzzword gets thrown around a lot, but creating truly seamless experiences across platforms can remain a challenge for many brands. And I found a recent study that said customers who engage with brands across multiple channels spend an average of 4 times more than single channel customers. Yet 55% of companies still struggle with disconnected technologies that create jarring customer experiences. So this matters tremendously for our listeners who are trying to build cohesive brand experiences while maintaining increasingly complex digital ecosystems, if you will. But Michael, I know you have some experience in this as well. What's the biggest misconception brands have about creating omni-channel experiences, and how have you helped clients overcome these challenges?
Biggest misconception? Probably that it one size fits all. Like, I mean, there's depending on where they're coming from, what channel you're using, like you have to understand that input source. And of course you want the brand voice and everything to sound harmonious and as one. But yeah, you can't just copy paste or resize something for portrait and then put it into landscape and hope it fits, have some like black bars on the side. It's just this like lack of attention to detail and really going the extra mile to cater for that channel or that medium or wherever they're coming from or where they're absorbing your information. So I feel like that's the biggest misconception, is like, as long as we're there, with some sort of anything, then it's better than not being there at all. And I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if any of y'all have similar viewpoints or seen something similar in the market.
I agree with that. I think each tool or omni-channel platform should serve a purpose, right? I think a lot of times, in my experience, some marketers or marketing leaders, they'll come in and they'll say, we use this, so they'll add this on without actually fully auditing and optimizing what already has. I think it's orchestration, right? So everything should feel like one seamless experience across your customer journey, whatever that is. And it doesn't take a million tools. I remember when I first started working at a company and we started our MarTech stack, and we had like over 100 tools to do everything, and not everything talked to each other. So some people was using certain things in certain departments, and it kind of created a disconnected experience. So I wholly agree with you. I think that thinking ahead, having some type of strategy ahead of just implementing things makes perfect sense, and being able to just orchestrate something that creates a cohesive journey is important. At least for me, I definitely take pride in that.
No, I definitely agree. I feel like oftentimes when you think about creating consistency across all touch points, ultimately it comes down to making sure that each of those touch points are effectively moving your target audience to action or building more of an affinity for your brand and so on. And so oftentimes I think what brands will do is they may focus on creating one piece of content, distributing across all channels without customizing that content for the context in which their consumer is actually consuming that information or that content. So, what is your opinion about content across all channels, and if it should be tailored to specific channels or platforms, or do you think that it would be fine to make sure that that specific piece of content is the same across channels? I mean, there's a certain nuance there, but what is your thoughts about that?
Oh my God, I love this question. So I was just thinking about this today because I was watching, as everyone who has not attended the tour yet, all the Cowboy Carter, content. And I think nobody does it better than Beyonce, because you're seeing clips from the tour, you're seeing clips from the 5 days she was just in LA, you're seeing this real time, up to date distribution of all these elements from the show and from the fans, and just like a million different angles of what the tour is going to be. So if you haven't been on the tour yet, or you haven't gone to the concert yet, there's something to look forward to. And I think nobody does it better than Beyonce. The other thing I'll add is I've been thinking about this over the last few days, is switching from this conversation about attribution to attention. People think you can't measure attention. And I know people are always like, oh, well, it's a billboard or a commercial or a magazine ad. But I think what we're missing is not just the touch points, but how long it takes that person to engage. If you write a 5-minute blog post and somebody reads to the end of the page, that's 4 or 5 minutes that you got with that person. If you write a 2-second post and they like it, that's 2 seconds you got with that person. If you put on a workshop and they attend 30 minutes, that's 30 minutes you got with that person. So instead of adding up these attribution points, start to add up how much time they're actually spending with you and your brand. So if you sponsor a sports event, right? Or if it's at a named arena, or, if you have a commercial within that event, right? That's 2 minutes or 45 seconds that person is spending with your brand. So over time, if you cut up all of those different types of content, you can get a framework of like, how much time do we want someone to spend with us, right? Do we want them to watch a 14-minute YouTube video? Do we want them to watch a 3-minute reel? Do we want them to read a 2-second LinkedIn post? And every time they engage, which you can track, you start to measure how much time they're actually spending with you, not how many touch points they had with you. And I think that creating that different content, it sort of predicts how much time we're going to spend together. If I just have a billboard, I know you're going to pass that billboard in maybe a few minutes depending on traffic. But if I schedule a webinar, I know that you're going to sit with me for 45 minutes. And that 45 minutes might mean more than that one ad or that one spot on LinkedIn. So I think just looking at it in not terms of attribution, but attention, and how much attention are you measuring? If people only spend 2 minutes a day on LinkedIn, I'm not going to put that much weight into a LinkedIn ad. But if I have a reel, or if I post on TikTok, I can see how much time they've spent with me. And over time, that'll translate into how much time do we need together before you actually decide to buy, or before you actually make a decision on my brand.
Yeah, I think that makes
Love
total.
that.
Yeah. I'm sorry, MoShai?
No, I was just saying I love that
Yeah.
concept, especially attribution, like in B2B marketing, right? Like it's all everything. Did they attend this? And a lot of working with sales, a lot of times they just worry about that one moment. I actually sponsored a big conference last week, right? And so we spent months with marketing, paid, digital meetings, setting up meetings and things of that nature. But then on site, we had the booth, we had the sessions, we had a customer dinner, I had a reception, and then I invited certain customers to attend us in our suite that we hosted. And by the end of the week, we had like 2 big customers that were like, okay, let's schedule a meeting for next Monday. We're all in, right? And so we can say we hit them 30 times, but it was actually how much time. So I really like that concept. The time that they spent with us was probably somewhere over 5-6 hours if we were to add that up, versus the attribution piece, like how much marketing attributed to this deal or not. So I really like that concept.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I want to unpack the notion of attribution and attention, right? Because I feel like that's really one of the reasons why a lot of major tech companies are trying to promote AR and VR. And the reason why I say that is because you see, went from Google glasses to back in the day. Now Meta has Ray-Bans. I think Samsung has some glasses and so on. But when we think about what actually is getting our attention and how can we attribute that attention to an actual sale of a product or service, it can be done through AR and VR. Right. I mean, with the augmented reality, you would be able to see how long a person has looked at a certain thing, product, right? As an example, based upon how long they look, they can then be served ads because that just is demonstrated interest, right? And so this is really next level stuff when it comes to these major platforms like Meta, like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, so on and so forth, is because that I think is the next layer of attribution. Is through these augmented reality experiences, and that ultimately is really the foundation of true omni-channel marketing, right? If you will, is through these AR, VR experiences. Have you guys had any experiences with this? You guys play with Oculus, or if you guys have the glasses, what's your experience?
I don't have anything like that, but one thing that sticks out is my partner. She, into makeup and everything. And so L'Oreal's got this AR Modiface, so you can virtually try out the makeup. So exactly what you're saying, like this engagement with this AR it's like tells you how good it is, first of all, and how much people, like it and use it. And then that builds like a wow factor and a great experience with the brand. And so they go back, they recommend it. It's that whole, the full life cycle, like it just repeating itself and like a flywheel, perpetuating. So, and I think you see that also with a lot of clothing brands. You can try it on before you even buy it. Like it's gonna have your own avatar in the app, and then it overlays it on your body, and so you can kind of see how the thing fits on you. It's a really great way.
Yeah. Sephora does it as well, the color match through AR. And then obviously everything I buy for my house, you can kind of see it in the house. So like if you have a couch, you kind of measure, it helps measure if it's going to fit. So yes, I am a huge fan of those tools.
Yeah. I worked for a AR tech company, ed tech company, and what they did was recreated field trip experiences through the goggles and being able to film in 3D and sort of educate kids that way so that they have that full touch experience of places maybe that they won't be able to go. Or this was really big in the pandemic as well, where kids were not in school. So having these virtual field trips and being able to take them to spaces that they couldn't access because of the pandemic. One of the things that I think kind of concerns me is just we have to have the right people making the right interpretations. I think when it comes to accessibility, AR and VR are great touch points for people to be able to access things where, for whatever reason, health-wise or some disability, they wouldn't be able to access. And I think giving people that experience, whether it's being able to attend a conference or a wedding, or, if you're immune compromised, you can't attend a wedding, giving somebody this de-filmed version of the wedding, right, where you can be immersed in the experience, I think is very, very important. And I actually knew a girl who filmed her wedding in AR and in VR because she knew that she wasn't going to be able to enjoy it. And so she wanted to be able to see it again and kind of like sit in that experience again. So I think that these technologies are really exciting and they're really cool, but as long as we need the right people who are creating a vision for what these technologies are going to be great for, that is not just ads and advertising, because they really can add valuable experiences, like MoShai said, like with Sephora or color matching, or really help you make informed decisions. But it's not just about buying, right? It's actually about that experience that is going to be offered through those platforms.
Yeah. The engagement and the emotional engagement of it as well, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great example there with the wedding, to experience it after the fact. I started my marketing career as a DJ and college DJ, and at UC Berkeley. Michael, you know a little something about that,
Mhm.
but I would always get asked, "Don't you get tired of DJing? Wouldn't you want to like experience the party?" And so I feel like if I had that back then, there's certain events that I DJ'd back in the day that I definitely would want to have that, to relive those experiences, to see what it's like to be a person on the dance floor or whatnot. So when it comes to AR, VR, and privacy, right? I think that there's a gray area there, because naturally many consumers, as they become savvier, they want to understand how their data is being used. But I think this is a gray area with regard to the attribution and attention, back to your point, Yuma, where as they're experiencing these things, data is being collected, right? And so in terms of how long we're staring at a specific product and so on. So that leads me to data privacy, right? And how much of a concern is data privacy to consumers? And do you think, from your opinion, as well as do you think that more consumers are willing to give up more of their privacy for more personalized experiences? And I want to know what your thought is about that. Is that something that's good or not?
I will say I see a huge difference because I'm from the US, but now I'm in Europe, and GDPR, like we all heard it. It's huge. Like, especially you said you spent time in Germany. I was there, before Amsterdam, and like they are huge on their data privacy. Like, yeah, it is. You can't have first party data. Like companies are just, I mean, you have it, but like getting it worked into any kind of system, or to use it usefully, like in a company, is very difficult because they're very apprehensive to work with any kind of, to let it go anywhere. It's just like stays here. That's it. But I do feel like it's essential. Like if you want to have a seamless experience, like across all touch points and everything, that data it's informing us as marketers to like what it is, how can we anticipate your needs? Like, because we know you looked at this, because we know you went here, because you did this, like it's gonna help us say, okay, this gives us a clearer picture, not so blurry. We have the glasses on now. We see the clearer picture of you and what you want and what we can provide for you, and anticipate your upcoming needs. So I think piecing these together and having full data like in the works, like some sort of CDP, and like connecting the dots is huge, especially for the person. But there are nefarious actors out there, and there's people doing shady stuff with data. So I understand both sides of the coin. But yeah, it just takes the right responsible company to be leading the charge in that and saying, look, we're doing it the right way. Look how it's resonating with people, like these experiences that we have with them, and blaze the trail for everybody else.
Yeah. And I think that communication looks a little different depending upon, the demographic, or even, the geography of your target audience, right? I mean, having to be aligned with the GDP, or what is it?
GDP.
What do you call it? Yeah, GDPR. I'm sorry, skip my mind. The GDPR, and communicating that within that geographic area, UK versus the US, or even the demographics of your target audience, Gen X versus Gen Z, right? Gen X, they may want to be very tight with their data, right? Gen Z and Alpha generation may be a little bit more open because they want these customized experiences. So it just kind of depends, right? And I know, MoShai, you work with a large brand that I'm sure has come across these issues, and these certainly could be your own opinions. But how are the brands that you've worked with communicating their use of data and addressing any potential privacy concerns?
Well, I'm not the expert here, right? So I got to state that. But in general, we have very strict compliance around data. Like I can't touch a piece of PI PII at all. That's on a basic level. So there's very strict guidelines around AI and data collection and whatever that may be. There's a fine line there. As far as communication goes, there is a center of responsible AI. There's like a leader for it that communicates out all of those things. I posted a couple of events though with partners where we were, especially marketers, and it's B2B, so it is different, right? Everything in AI is based on data, right? Your cloud storage data is the foundation of all AI and everything it is. So a lot of companies are apprehensive to move forward because of the regulatory and compliance and privacy guidelines that their companies hold, right? And so there's not a lot of, it is hard because we don't have the answers to all the questions, right? And one question was like, what if I use your tool to create an image? How is that my image? That's not my image anymore. It's everyone's image. Anyone can pick up this image and probably go and use it. And that's a source that there's no guidelines to say that this is not happening or is happening. And so why would I want to transition over to this tool that's leveraging AI to do this? And I can just go ahead and create my own image that I know is mine and the usage is mine. And that's a simple thing. So I'm not going to answer your question directly because there's not a lot of information and I'm not the expert there when it comes to the company wise, but I definitely have to follow a very strict set of rules when it comes to data collection, anything around PII, anything around privacy, especially GDPR, big factor because I'm a global marketer. So when I am working with within the regions that have laws, we have to follow very strict guidelines. AI, basic level marketing, if I just want to collect your name, there is rules to it all.
Yeah, and there's reasons why you follow those rules because I think it's something like the fine can be like 15% of your revenue, which depending on your business, what you're turning out, like that can be a lot of money. So yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when we think about the collection of data, right? I know you may have some experience in this topic with regard to how brands are actually collecting or gathering first-party data, and how they can do so in a way that actually enhances their customer experience.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that I fight for a lot. Having worked on a couple MarTech teams, my passion is always the preference center. It's like, I always call it the unsung hero of email marketing because people don't think their preference centers are that important. And I'm like, no, your preference center is actually crucial. And I think there are two things that stand out to me. One, I think as marketers, we just have to prove that we're doing good work with this information. Most times we're collecting a bunch of information that we don't even use and we don't even need. And I think that's where customers sort of sour on that experience because I know for me, I've been a member of something or had a membership and then been asked to join that membership or been asked to say like getting marketing emails for a service that I'm already paying for, that I'm already a part of, right? So we've all had these experiences where you're like, do you even know who I am? I'm a paying customer. So we as marketers have to do a better job of proving that we are actually doing something good with the information that we're asking you for. And I think more so, we just need to keep asking, like ask when it's appropriate. You don't need all the information right away, but if it causes friction, people will give it to you. So if you can, the big thing right now is like getting rid of lead magnets, right? That whole like, we need your email. We need your email. It's like, we know you need, because you're not going to give me this white paper unless I give you my email, right? So they're giving a bunch of fake emails. Why even do that, right? We already know where the friction points are. So we can ask for less data up front. And as people start to get comfortable with the brand, they will give it to you. We all know what it's like to forget a password. And then they say, we can text you a code. And you're like, all right, just text me the code. Now they have your phone number, right? Like we will give it up when it becomes too much of a friction point or a hurdle. And I think as marketers, if we just keep being responsible and leading that charge of proving that we can use it responsibly, I think the regulation will serve a really good purpose. But I think too many people have proved that they're collecting massive amounts of data points for no particular reason, and that really causes alarms.
It's a really good point. It's like most of the data goes unused. Like it's so true. It's like there's only so much we can do in one day, and we're focused on this one thing, this one track, this one campaign, and this one part of it. And it's like we're leaving so much of it unused. But yeah, that's how it is for
Yeah,
sure.
we have to trash it after a certain amount of days. We have to.
That's interesting. I think focusing on progressive data collection in terms of, not having much of what you were saying, from not having all the fields available to the person right away, but just collect a little bit of information. And as they continue to nurture and build relationships with those consumers, then you start to collect a little bit more information on them. And then also explain, what the information is collected for, how it's going to be used, so on and so forth, right? Like in our client onboarding, we actually ask for their birthday, right? But we say we're collecting your birthday because guess what? We give gifts, right? So we want to know, your t-shirt size or an address to mailing a swag box or something like that. So then they're like, okay, I get it. You're collecting my information because it's going to be useful to me, right? And so that's where I think the progressive data collection is certainly needed, and also explaining exactly what you're going to be doing with that data is very important, especially nowadays. Yeah. So moving forward from data collection and privacy to building an authentic brand, right? In today's day and age, when we think about consumers wanting authenticity and how they can sniff, authenticity from a mile away, you have to become a brand that is more perceived as, authentic with regard to the way in which you engage with consumers. Research shows that 86% of consumers say authenticity is important when deciding which brands to support, but many companies struggle with translating their actual core values into genuine digital experiences. So I'm wondering if any of you have an example of either a brand that you represent, you work for, or just a brand that you've engaged with or patronized that have seamlessly connected a digital experience with their offering.
I'll jump in. My favorite's always Salesforce. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a Dreamforce girly. You can't get me out. I'm out there all 4 days. I'm like, I want to go to every party. I want to go to every after party. I want to go to every session. I'm obsessed with Salesforce. I remember going to the Salesforce Tower in London even. Like, I just think what they do for their ecosystem is so special. And when I lived in San Francisco, they used to have free movies at the tower. They just had so many touch points for engagement. And not only loving the tool, and it's always been pivotal in my career in marketing ops, but I think just everything they offer in their ecosystem and just really connecting those dots of like in-person experiences and digital experiences, and then also having a great tool, a tool that helps me be better at my job, right? Like something that actually works for me. And I think that ecosystem is always been like, I'm like such a die-hard Salesforce.
A lot of people are for sure. Yeah, I worked with companies and we didn't have it, and I would get sales people that were like call and say, "Hey Mo, why don't we have Salesforce?" And like I was like, I don't know, I didn't choose this tool. So I get it. Yeah, I mean, from a consumer perspective, and I'll say like obviously during the pandemic, but I feel like Peloton did a really good at maybe for that year when they were on top. They did a really great job at connecting the digital experience with like your in home by yourself experience, and then going to actual studios and engaging with the actual instructors. Like I was obsessed. I still kind of am, but truly obsessed with the brand and the lifestyle it created, and just like the 360 experience you can have in your house, at the gym, on the phone. If I was at someone's house staying for the weekend, I can just use the app and do what I needed to do and still engage with people over social media and engage with friends, even down to today. I was a big fan of them when they were when they were on top for those years.
One, you may see it now. Actually, it's making its way, or it has made its way since I think 2022 or so. Is Tony's Chocolonely? So it's a Dutch brand, and the reason the name behind it is like it's lonely being transparent and equitable to the cocoa farmers. Like out of all the big, chocolate brands out there, like they are transparent about like where they get it from, how much they pay good wages, like the whole fair trade thing. But in the chocolate industry, there's nobody really doing it. Fair trade was mainly first for coffee and then for textiles and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a really great brand. They have good product. They have a good experience. Like you can create custom chocolate bars. So you can upload an Illustrator or a Photoshop file, or you can have templates, or you can go to the experience center here. And like in the beginning, you make a custom bar, and then it's waiting for you at the end. So it's like it's not so. I mean, it's a little digital, but yeah, I just think they had a story, they had a mission, they stuck to it, and they didn't do really any kind of advertising, branding, or anything for the longest time. And it kind of caught on organically. And then I think they got picked up in Walmart. And then it was like, okay, now we have some extra cash as dispensable income, and like we can flaunt it now. And yeah, so I think that's a really good example of branding by sticking to your message and your values. Yeah, and kind of mixing in a little bit of digital there as well.
And they're really good. They partnered with Rag and Bone over the holiday to provide chocolate bars, and like they're delicious. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I got to try some of those.
What is it, Tony Chocolonely?
Tony's Chocolonely, yeah. Yeah, they also partnered with Mr. Feastables and Ben and Jerry's, more kind of like old school iconic. But yeah, they're doing well.
I think they're in Whole Foods also. I know I saw them in Whole Foods.
Nice. So let's talk about future-proofing your digital brand experiences. I mean, people obviously want to know, brand leaders and so on obviously want to know what can they do to begin to future-proof their digital brand experiences. And I certainly think that more brands start to think about that based on the pandemic, right? Is like they were literally forced to create these digital experiences because that's the only way they would be able to engage many times with their consumers. So what are some ways that brands can future-proof, let's say if they're looking ahead in the next 3 to 5 years, what do you think they would need in order to be ready for the next shift in digital branding? What's your opinion about that?
I'm going to say talent. They just need more talent. We as marketers, I mentioned this before, but after the election in the US, everybody kept saying the Democratic Party. And I'm like, look, I'm a part of the Democratic Party. I think I did my part. And I feel like marketers are always like marketers. And I'm like, but I'm a marketer. It's us. The call is coming from inside the house. Like we need to change the way we look at strategy and campaigns and audiences. And we need to lead a charge instead of being so afraid of the big bad CEO and like being at odds of like the CEO that's going to come fire us, if we don't get enough clicks on social media or on TikTok. Like marketers need to hone their talent. We need better benchmarks of what is good marketing, and we really need to have pride in what we're building, right? And not just say like, oh, this went viral or that went viral. Like really smart marketing, really strategic marketing starts with the people and getting the people in the right places and getting the people on the right teams and with the right, mentality. And I think it really just starts with the talent. It starts with us. Really, marketing used to be a craft. And it really starts with us getting back to that craft and then being a voice of reason and change for companies.
I'd agree. I think it's the concept of first who and then what. Like get the right people on the bus, and then they'll help you steer it, and you know where to go. So like getting the right people in and having like a culture of experimentation, entrepreneurship, it's okay to fail, to try new things, and not having we can work in fast-paced and demanding environments, but just having a little bit of flexibility and resilience and letting people be the creative people that they are, then you'll start seeing like brilliance pop up and flourish. So I think it's a lot about the company and the values and the ethos of it.
Yeah. All right. So now it's time. I'm sorry.
I want to add
Sure.
something to that. I agree, but like coming from, where we are today, like I think a lot of companies, especially big brands, are gonna take advantage of this next industrial tech revolution that we're in, right? And I think that the biggest so I before the pandemic, I marketed a lot around working from home, right? Move to the cloud to make sure your company is ready to for the change. A lot of companies didn't do it, and then the pandemic happened, and then they had to like add on all of these things to for remote work and to for the change and things of that nature. And now I think it's becoming apparent that tech efficiency is important, but like that combined with like the human centric experience is going to also be important, right? So I think it's going to be a balance of both. And, I'm speaking because I've been drinking this juice probably for the last year and a half, especially around the agentic AI place where a lot of these everyday tasks and things like that internally are going to take the workload off some of our, like you said, is going to go back to the people, getting people back to where they are creative and where they're able to think and taking off these redundant tasks that we do day in and day out, and then getting them back to seeing the bigger picture, creating more empathetic brand experiences for customers and things of that nature. So I think it's going to be a balance actually. Ideally it doesn't come in and take over, but I think it will be a balance of how the human interaction interacts with the tech efficiency and how well we can bridge those gaps personally.
Yeah. That creates a great bow on that topic there. And so now it's time for one of my favorite segments of the show. It's called Bad, Bold, and Brilliant. This is where we examine some interesting digital branding examples and discuss what we can learn from them. Okay. So let's start out with Airbnb's approach to content. They tackled the challenge of building trust in a competitive travel industry by harnessing user generated content. They encourage guests and hosts to share authentic stories and images of their experiences. And this created community-centered brand identity that spread organically. So I'm curious, would you categorize this as bad, bold, or brilliant?
I'd say bad.
Okay, let's go for it. Let's dig in.
Why bad?
Yep.
Okay, so one of my favorite magazines, and Michael, you might know it, it's one called Kinfolk, and it's a quarterly magazine, and it's based around really great storytelling and beautiful photography, and it takes you all over the world, like every corner of the world, and talks to really interesting people. That is what I would expect from the content of Airbnb. I would expect for them to mail this type of quarterly magazine to their hosts and it be on the table of every Airbnb you rent or every time you stay in someone's home. They have this quarterly magazine featuring these great, beautiful stories of beautiful places you can be and stay. And I just wanted more from their content. And it just fell flat for me.
Interesting.
It's a brilliant idea, actually. But for me, I think it's not necessarily brilliant, but I think it's good. I think it's kind of like, yeah, sufficient. I mean, for that, all that other stuff takes overhead, like the magazine, that's a huge investment. And they have, I mean, how do you select? I mean, of course they can select who to send it to. They can't send it to everybody, but yeah, I think it's a good way to do that digitally. So, but maybe now if they listen to this, then their next move, and they have you to thank for it.
Yeah. I think you ultimately have to factor in, is the juice worth the squeeze in a sense of, are you going to have the ROI, right? I think the magazine idea is a great idea. I do think just based upon the cost of printing, so on, and distribution and so on, you get a little bit more residual benefit from user generated content, meaning that, your users who are submitting content are looking to see if their content is going to be featured. So they're gathering more attention there. And then there's zero production costs, right, in user generated content. So Airbnb is kind of leveraging their equity in the space to generate more user generated content. So I think I think if I had to choose, I would say bold, only in a sense of you don't really know what type of content can come from those places, but I'm sure they have a way to vet it. But I would say it's bold because that certainly could have taken a turn and people could have hijacked that whole thing and it could go into focusing on something that's more negative about staying at Airbnb than positive. But those are some of the things that I would that come to mind when I think about this campaign? I don't know, MoShai, what is your thoughts there?
I have no comment. I'm not going to
Okay.
comment on Airbnb.
Okay. Okay. Probably for good reason. Okay, moving on. So yeah, I guess I just looked at LinkedIn to see if why that is. But so next up is Nike's digital transformation. So they responded to changing consumer behaviors by launching mobile apps like Nike Training Club, Nike Run Club, offering personalized workout plans and community challenges. And they leverage data and analytics to create tailored recommendations for users. So what's your take on this? Is this bad, bold, or brilliant?
I think it's brilliant. It's
Oh, you can comment
brilliant
on
and
that one, huh?
bold. Well, yeah, I'll comment on that one because I love the Nike training app and I think they do a really good job, especially if like you are a sneakerhead. I'm not, but like I like just the concept of it all. Like they have the sneaker app and like it gamifies it. It's like for their audience, right? So they have the right audience that they can go after, exclusive content. And then it goes back to something we said earlier. It's not about just the sale, right? It's about how you engage, the attention you have across different platforms and the omni-channel experience you're creating. And I'm a big fan of the Nike training app as well, because it takes away just like less is more of a lifestyle. I feel like ecosystem, right? It brings together a lot of different touch points for someone like me who wants to maybe work out, maybe wants to go walking, wants to go whatever. And it goes back to their brand too. I'm not like an ambassador or anything either, but it's like in your hand. You just do it. It's all right there. You don't have to really do much. I don't know. I'm a big fan.
I'm a fan. I think it's brilliant. I think Nike is a brand that is so legacy. They could get lazy and they don't. And I feel like that's the brilliant part of it. It's like they know that they have a lot of cachet and they're not going anywhere, but they still do things that are interesting and innovative. And I think that that's really brilliant.
Yeah. I would say I'm torn between bold and brilliant. I think for me, it would skew more brilliant if they actually incorporated the technology in their shoes, right? I mean, because back in the day, they had those Nike pumps where you can like pump up your shoes and stuff like that, right? And I feel like, yeah, why not incorporate the technology? I know they have, like Fitbits and other trackers and stuff like that, but it would be brilliant if they had that connected to their shoes in terms of the steps, in terms of if you're running correctly, how to prevent injuries, that sort of stuff. I think that would skew more brilliant.
And they brought back the flip phone. I think Nike should bring back that pump shoe.
Yeah.
At least for like a season.
Yeah, like a limited release or
Nostalgia.
something.
Yeah, for summer.
Sneakerheads would go crazy over that. So Nike, if anyone working from Nike listening,
I think it's
give me a shout out or
I think
something.
it's in the pipeline for them. Don't
Yeah.
know when, but I think, like you said, your stride, your gait, like your foot positioning, like that's gotta come. That's gotta come.
It has to, right?
Yeah.
You think, but I mean, but even their competitors, I don't think any shoe brand has really come up with like wearable
Yeah.
tech.
I'm pretty sure there's some prototype somewhere that they're trying to perfect. There cannot be, right?
Right.
Like there
Right.
has to be.
I think
Agreed.
wearable tech is still such an underserved market. Like there's just so much room for innovation. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Likewise. All right. So finally, let's take a look at Domino's Pizza and their digital ordering innovation. So they introduced multiple digital ordering methods, including ordering via emoji and AI-powered platforms. So they streamlined the ordering process, making it faster and more convenient for customers. And digital orders became a major portion of their total sales as a result. But would you classify this as bad, bold, or brilliant?
Brilliantly bad. Just because
Okay, detail.
Domino's. I mean, I'm not saying it's not a guilty pleasure of mine, but every once in a while. But yeah, I'm sure. Hey, it's brilliant. Like nobody else did it, and make it, order from an emoji, like from your watch. You're like, it's brilliant. Kind of catching everybody where they are in the least amount of characters possible, like an emoji. Like that's how easy can you get. But it's still pretty processed, pretty bad Domino's pizza. So that's
I would say I used to live by Domino's, and this had to be, if I had to guess, I don't know, 2009, 2010, and they just released their app, so you could see where your order was and like when it was going to be delivered. And when I tell you, like I could see this Domino's from my apartment, and I still ordered online. And so to see where and I think they had the campaign where they deliver anywhere. I don't know if that was them or Papa John's, but I think from where they started in the app game, which was very early, to where they are now, I would say it's bad because they had that step up. They were always kind of ahead of the curve when it came to apps and ordering online. And there just so many dropped balls and so many missed opportunities from when they started to where they are now. So I think they could have really cornered that market and have like a totally different partnership with another brand. And there's so much they could do from when they launched to now, and I think that they missed a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. I think it's bold, and I only say bold because it seems like there's a, pizza company on every corner, right? It's almost commodity at this point, but I feel like they have to do everything they possibly can to try to separate themselves from the competition. This is probably one campaign that they believe could do that. So I would say more bold than anything else. I don't think it is a long-standing campaign. I think we'll kind of be over ordering pizzas with emojis. I mean, like, what if you want special toppings or cooked a certain way, or you want half ingredients on one side, half on the other side, or something like that, right? You can't really get those type of specifications through emoji. So I think it's more bold than anything else, and I think it's another attempt to try to gain more market share.
Like to seeing Domino's pizza kits like in grocery stores. Like when TGI Fridays kind of moved their appetizers into grocery stores, I thought that was interesting. Like I think pizza kits for Domino's would probably be a more interesting connection to growing that brand, because I think they're franchised. So each Domino location is kind of standalone.
I think we've come up with some great ideas. And I think whoever's listening to this episode, they're going to get a promotion.
There's some AI
Right,
out there
taking it.
scraping, listening.
Some AI is
Okay.
craving it already.
Yeah, for sure.
Social listening.
Well played. Well played. Go ahead, Michael.
No, I was just saying, yeah, there's some AI out there scraping it for sure, and somebody's going to pick
Yeah.
up on it. But yeah.
Awesome. All right. So now in our next segment is tools you can't live without. We're getting to wrap up here, but I'd like for each of you to share the tools that you simply cannot function without, either in your work or personal life, maybe a quick word on how you use them.
I'll start. I mean, basic tool, Copilot. I can't live without Copilot in my work day-to-day life. I actually use my notes app or the notes function in my phone very frequently. And you can talk to it now. So I can talk and I'll just like capture my notes. I'm always thinking about something, or if I don't want to write a post or something and I just want to like draft it out, like let's just say LinkedIn, and I don't feel like typing it anywhere, I'll talk to it in my notes and then I'll just go through and correct the grammar things and then I copy and paste it, but it's still my post. I just didn't write it. I just talked to it in my notes, my phone. I think and then you can also transcribe and stuff in your notes. So like you were on a 15-minute conversation with someone at a coffee shop and you wanted to record it, it'll take the notes and then you can get a transcription of it as well. So it's actually pretty basic, but it's helpful. So those every day right now, those are my tools.
Nice. And what about you, Michael?
Well, let's say I switched originally. I started on what's going to be AI based, Claude, then Gemini, and then now I was kind of like, for some reason, holding out on ChatGPT, and now I'm all about it. It's really good. And other AI helpers, like you said, the transcribing MoShai it's great for me because I went to a parents' night here, and it was in Dutch, and so I was like, between my English and my German, it's like, I can pick out a few words here and there and kind of follow along the story barely where they're going. But I just turned my phone on record, and then I had it from audio to text, and then from text Dutch to English, and then I was like, okay, now I got the full understanding of what they said. These kinds of applications, if I didn't have to do it like across 3 different apps or tools, that would have been easier and more seamless, but they're there helping my life quite a bit. Other than that, it's Spotify. Me mood I'm in, or changing whatever my mood I'm in, like keeping me going, or like dragging me out of like a funk or whatever. So I'd say the Spotify is also a tool for me.
Awesome. What about you, Fiona?
I will say notes also. I use notes every day. And yeah, it's super helpful, and it's just easy to be between your computer and your phone, which I think is the biggest challenge for me. So Notes app is definitely a must. I use it every day. I also use ChatGPT every day, although I don't like it as much. We have a love-hate relationship, but I do use it every day. And then also like Google Suite. Like I love Google Suite. I do everything in Google Suite. I'm like obsessed with email, and so between email and sheets and docs, and it just like I count my calendar, like I do everything in Google Workspace. So that's like my go-to every day.
Now, before we wrap up, I want to make sure that our listeners know where they can find more information about our amazing guests, where they can find you, what are you offering, so on and so forth. So now it's time for all the shameless plugs in the world. All right. So I want to start with you, MoShai. Go first.
Look, well, I'm on LinkedIn mostly. As you follow me on LinkedIn, you probably are very much aware of that. So it's just MoShai Gibbs, MoShai Gibbs, so LinkedIn / I think, in my name. And then also the same name on Instagram. So I'm pretty frequently posting on Instagram as well.
Yeah, I like some of the content that you're posting too. So everyone
Thank
go ahead
you.
and check her out on LinkedIn and Instagram. What about you, Michael?
Yeah, pretty simple myself. LinkedIn, even though Michael Wallace is so generic, there's probably, I don't know, a couple thousand floating out there, but Michael Wallace one, I don't know, / Michael Wallace one is the LinkedIn. Yeah, my Instagram is more private these days, my whole family life, but yeah, LinkedIn.
What about you?
My turn. Oh, yes, you can find me on LinkedIn at /Fauna Solomon, FAUNA SOLOMON. And you can also find me right now. I'm building a community for marketers looking to get back in-house if they're freelancing or consulting or just unemployed. And you can find me at buymeacoffee-selfmadecmo.
Awesome. All right. So I want to thank Michael, MoShai, Fauna for joining us for this incredible conversation about digital branding and seamless customer experiences. And I want to thank the listeners for tuning in to this episode of The Brand Behavior. We hope you've gained valuable insights into the psychology of consumer behavior and how it influences marketing strategies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform and visit our website at digitaldelane.com/podcast. And if you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review for us and, of course, share it with your network. I'm Juntae DeLane, founder at Digital DeLane, a full-service digital marketing agency helping to bring new brands, campaigns, and ideas to life. And I'll see you next time. Bye for now.